Hi, this is János, it's Real World Audio, and we are going to look at the noise of vacuum tube amplifiers, namely single-ended vacuum tube amplifiers, and why is it such a darn hard business to create a choke input supply for single-ended tube amplifiers. And here we are following up with a supply that's similar to a Yamamoto's supply, which is a really nice example of a commercial tube amplifier. But although I can say that I have some reservations about it, and namely one of them is that the first capacitor, the input capacitor, is a little bit too high. I would not put anything higher than 40 microfarads for a 5AR4 or any tube rectified supply, because that's already too much drain on the vacuum tube. And of course, if you have an NOS, a new old stock 5AR4, which is a US made NOS tube like a GE, or you have a European, like a British tube, like a Mallard, for them it's a piece of cake. They can handle 47 microfarads, no problem. They will have a pretty nice long life with it, but try to put a modern production on something like a Softec and it will crap out in less than a year. I can guarantee it. I'm talking from example. If you have even with 40 microfarad in the C1 position with a Softec 5AR4, like clockwork, they will die before reaching the 1 year mark. With 47 microfarad, that would probably increase to maybe like 7 months or even less, maybe half a year, something. That's my guesstimation. But anyway, if you have your power supply properly designed with using proper vacuum tubes, a Mallard 5AR4 should last you longer than your lifetime, not just a few years. So that's why proper power supply design is important. And basically, the lower that C1 value is, the longer your tubes will last. However, knowing that, oops, I just hit something here. So why do people put such high value input capacitors there while it ruins the life expectancy of the rectifier tube? And you could say, yeah, because they want you to buy as many tubes as possible. That's good business for tube manufacturers and people who sell tubes. Yeah, we could say that, sure. But is there any other reason? So let's see. If let's just keep it at this value, hit simulate, and as you see, we have a 70 millivolt ripple from this supply. And if we change it, let's change it down to, let's say, just 20 microfarads from 47, so we are dropping to a little bit less than half, to something which is a very nice, comfortable load for the tubes. Then you see now we have 163 millivolts for the hum. Now the hum increased from 60 to 164, so we see a very big increase. So if we go for hum calculator, how big is that change? So we had like 63, something like 63 millivolts, right? So for that, when we are calculating at the listening position, provided your hum balance pot was not set, it's 25 dB hum at your listening position. And if we decrease that first capacitor to something that the rectifier tube likes, then from 25 dB we are going up to 33 dB. That's much louder. So from a kind of like a soft hum, it becomes a bothersome hum. So that's why companies push it as big as they can, and 47 is something that's the most that you can push without having serious issues, having the sound becoming strained and mechanical. So this is one thing there. And I believe in my previous video I was calculating with the hum value of 164 millivolts. So that was erroneous. That's this value here. I think I forgot to hit refresh before I started out here. So when we hit simulate with the 47 microfarad, that gives us that 69 millivolt of hum. So that should be that 69 millivolt, 26 dB, and we can cut that down with the hum pot to something like 17 dB, or maybe even a little less, maybe like 20 or something, 20 millivolt. So this is a little correction for my previous video. And instead of this, if we have like a 2.5 times bigger hum, then we have something like 50 millivolt, and that's annoying already. So, and that's one thing. So that's why you see that big capacitor there. But now I was talking about choke input supply. So what happens if we go here full choke input? So now let's delete the first one and just let's see what's the ripple here. Two things happen. One of them, there's a capital decrease in the output voltage, so now we have much lower voltage than previously, 100 volts less, 350 dropped to 250, but we can fix that by using a transformer that gives us higher voltage, and then we are good. However, let's see what happened to the ripple. 2.3 volts. Yes, 2.3 volts, not millivolt, volt. So let's punch it in now. Let's go back to what we had, 69 millivolt. That was with the Yamamoto supply. So that will give, without correcting for the filament pot, without not including that, it's 26 dB. Just coming from the B+. So what happens, what was that? 2.3 volts. So if we change this, so remember 26 dB, 2.3, I can't remember, it's really late for me. Okay, it jumps up to a whopping 56 dB. It is 30 dB louder hum. So I think now everyone has an appreciation why choke input supplies are not used that much, because if you just take out that first capacitor from that C1 position, then your amplifier becomes unbearable, because this is loud talking. So that 26 dB now became 56 dB. The hum became 1000 times stronger in energy, and this is absolutely unacceptable. And this is 56 dB loud if you are using a 92 dB per watt meter efficient loudspeaker. But now let's have a look at something that you would actually use with the Yamamoto. This is the absolute lowest that people use. You would use something like 102 dB per watt meter, something in that efficiency, to get really the Yamamoto to shine for you, and then it's 66 dB loud hum with a choke input supply. That is not possible. That's like very loud talking. So what can we do? How can we make that work? Let's try increasing the capacitance here. So let's do something really silly. Let's go 400 microfarads. And then that will drop it to 229 millivolts. So let's just do that. 229, 229. Then we still have with that 102 efficient loudspeaker, 46 dB hum. That's still darn loud, unusable. But let's go back to our 92 dB example. 36 dB hum. That's still solid talking level. It's still unbearable. And when you want to go for a choke input supply, you do it to have it predominantly inductive, and then putting a 400 microfarad capacitance is kind of like totally ruining the show. So this will not work anyway. So let's keep it at 40. So how can we save it? We can save it by adding an additional pipe filter. So it's like choke input cap, choke cap. So now when we have doubled it, what's happening? Now the hum is, look, 14.5 millivolt. That's really, really good. 14.5, and when we look for that, look, the hum dropped to 12 dB. So this is 14 dB quieter than the single pipe filter capacitor input supply gave us. So when you use two pipe filters, even in choke input mode, you will have a very quiet supply. And now let's say, so this is quiet enough that during daytime you won't even notice the hum, only when you go close to the speakers, but in your listening position it will be very faint, almost inaudible. When you do late night listening, then you will hear it, but it still won't be bothersome, but it will be certainly there. And now what happens when you go for like a really efficient loudspeaker? Let's say you have a voice of the theater, Altec A5. Then let's put in some, it's about maybe 106 dB per watt meter. Now it jumps up to 26 dB. Now that's noticeable hum. So that's what people have noticed. I have received several comments about this fact that when you have not efficient loudspeakers and then you suddenly change them to ultra efficient and you hear hum, how can you take care of it? And basically, if the hum comes from the amplifier, and given that you have a properly set up system, so you don't have ground loop issues, you don't have hum pickup from interconnects and so on, then the main hum component that you will be hearing will be generated by your power amplifier. And when you increase the speaker efficiency or sensitivity, same thing, really different measurement units, then you will hear the hum getting louder. So if your speaker is 10 times more efficient, then you will have 10 times louder, or actually 10 dB louder hum. So how to fix that? You beef up the power supply. So in this case, if you want a choke input power supply, you absolutely need to add a second pipe filter to do the trick. And also this is useful for you because some of us are more sensitive to the hum of the amplifier, and you notice that maybe let's go back to the normal situation, because if you have a capacitor input supply, you cannot just change it to choke input. You have to change the power transformer to give you higher voltage as well. So if you have just that, let's just go back. Let's just revert to the original supply that we had here, that 47 microfarad with a single pipe filter. Hit simulate. Let's go back here. Okay, 69 millivolt. So if you want to make it quieter, how can you make it? The simplest way to make it quieter is you increase the capacitance, the second capacitance. So if you double the capacitance, then basically it will be twice as quiet in the millivolt range. So you see that basically 70 millivolts, 69 point something millivolt drop down to 34.7 millivolts. So let's see, let's go back to the calculator, play around with it. What was that? 37.4 millivolt. So now we have hum at the listener 34 dB with a 106 dB efficient speaker. Let's go back to that, to the 92 dB efficient. If you don't have a voice of the theater speaker, just a normal, regular, high efficiency speaker, this is already like a high efficiency, it's considered high efficiency by the media. Then you get 20 dB hum at the listener position by dropping the hum level, by doubling the capacitance from 40 to 80, you get a minus 6 dB cut at the listening position. So basically what happens there is that if you have gone from, let's say, a 92 dB efficient speaker to a 98 dB efficiency speaker, then you have the same hum level that you had with that 92 dB sensitive speaker with 40 microfarads. So one solution, the quickest, the dirtiest, easiest solution to keep the hum level low when you go for more efficient, more sensitive loudspeaker is to increase the capacitance. Increase that C2, the second capacitor in the power supply. Of course, when you increase the capacitance, it might take your amplifier out from that sweet zone. It will give it a different tone, a different voicing. For one thing, it will sound more dynamic, but it will also slow down the sound. It will be more dynamic because it stores more charge. Now it stores double the charge, so it has energy for an octave lower to have that same energy that it had previously. So especially in the bass department, you will have a quite noticeable improvement. It will be also quite noticeably louder, but it might get quite slower as well. So you will have a bigger drum beat, but it won't be as impactful, won't be as fast. It will be bigger body, but slower. It won't start as fast. The soft voices will start to disappear in its wake. So lots of things that's not going to help you there, but you just need to figure out what is the value that you can still go before it impacts things. What I have noticed is that for that last capacitor you can go up to about 100 microfarads or maybe up to 130, 140 microfarads. If you have a nice fast DC link capacitor, or like something like a Mundorf Evo, or rather higher grade Mundorf capacitors, then so if you use plastic film capacitors here, then you can do so without punishment. You can go up to about 140 or so microfarads here. If you have electrolytics, this is already too far, too much, and it's going to tax your supply, your sound already. So I think this is for today. I hope it was really helpful, and if you don't want to go too high for the capacitance here, the choice is what I am using is to add a second pi filter. So this is what I'm using for my supplies, and let's explore that at the next episode. Probably not tonight, I'm too tired to shoot another video, but I will go into how I design my supplies, what is the quietness that I like, and why is that so. And thank you for tuning in. Have an awesome day, and of course this program, Power Supply Designer, is a free download, and the hum calculator, this is my thing. I have my previous video explaining it, how you can build yours, and if you don't want to do it, there is my site here, that buy me a coffee site, and there you can download it for a king's ransom for $6. Jeez, what a guy. He's asking money. What a sham. But anyway, this is a simple thing. If your time is worth more than $6, then this is a perfect choice for you. If your time is cheap, you don't care, then you can build your own program, and I'm really happy if you do it. It will be educational and fun. Bye bye.